Hello and welcome to Community Comms with Debbie Lee. I am so excited about today's episode, and so I didn't want to waste time with a long introduction because today's guest will definitely take up more than 10 minutes. But I promise you that if you give us about an hour of your time, you're going to get so much value around the topic of communications and business building and marketing, because today's guest is Michele Dye, the founder of the Marketers Lounge. We'll go ahead without further ado and dive into today's episode. Well, I'm really excited for today's guest, but I don't want to steal her thunder. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right into the first question here. This is Michele. And if you could just go ahead and introduce yourself and share a little bit about the community that you're building right now.
Sure. I'm Michele Dye. I'm located in sunny and hot Florida, and I have built a community called the Marketers Lounge. It's a space to bring women together, whether they're working a traditional 9-to-5 job in marketing or they've decided to go off on their own, build a freelance business, an agency, or maybe they're trying to escape their 9-to-5 job one day and they're just starting that side hustle of their marketing skills. And it's been great. We launched 2 years ago. We have a nice, small, tight-knit community, and I'm really excited to grow it this year and in years to come. It has a lot of potential.
I know that, like this particular community, I've had the joy of actually, diving in a little bit on the Facebook community that you have run. And I've learned so much just being connected there from incredible women that are part of that community. But I'm curious because this is like, you have so much experience across so many different areas that tie into community building. But particularly when it comes to this organization, the marketing angle for women, right? Like, was there a particular moment or experience that you said, I know I have to do this, or that made you realize this is something important that I want to contribute to?
Sure. I think it goes back to my own career. And so often the initiatives or things that we end up building, even if it's nonprofit or our own businesses, is we normally want to create something that we didn't have to benefit from. And for me, I've spent the last, 26 years now in marketing and PR. And for the first 10 years of my career, I did not have a mentor who was a marketing expert. I had great mentors in other things, in PR, in comms, in higher education leadership. But as far as somebody to teach me about marketing strategies or best practices, I didn't have any of that. I was a completely learn on the job. My undergrad major was journalism. Never wanted to be a journalist in the day of my life. I was strictly there because I wanted to design publications. And then I got my first internship in college in a PR office. And then that's where I got all my PR skills. And when I had my first communications director role, at age 23, I was building a department from the ground up. So I had a lot I had to just figure out, which is fine. There's value in being thrown into the deep end and having to figure things out. But I think about looking back on my career, like if I had somebody who was mentoring me from day one, I didn't have anybody teach me about negotiating salaries, right? I didn't have anybody teaching me how do you speak up at work when more and more gets added to your plate and there's no compensation that comes with it. And at the time when I was hired to really build up communications, a few months later, the Facebook arrived on campus. And that changed the game, I believe, for my whole career path. Suddenly, I heard about this thing from my cousins who were in high school and college. And I'm like, what's this? This sounds dumb. And they're like showing me like status updates and the wall. I'm like, this is so silly. And they nagged me about being on it. And so I did get on it and I started using it as a marketing tool to communicate with our students because I was working at a university then. So marketing has been all on the job training, and I've learned a lot, but I wish I had somebody to help me through all those different phases of my career. And I don't want it to take 10 years for somebody else to get that mentor. And that's why I built the Marketers Lounge, where we can really go deep and have conversations. We're on Zoom twice a week. We have a school community where I have trainings, whether it's for job searching or building a freelance business. And a lot of that idea stemmed from my involvement in the Facebook group that you mentioned, the Women in Marketing group. Now, I didn't create the group. A lot of people think I did, but I did not. It was founded by a few women during COVID. And about a year after that group had been built, one of my friends had a mutual connection with one of the founders. She's like, Michele, you've got to come into this group because there's so many women getting laid off right now and they really need some career advice. So I'm like, okay, that's right up my alley. I was helping a lot of women navigate all the layoffs from COVID and then the hiring frenzy after. And so I started getting involved in the group. I started teaching like free workshops in there. And then eventually the admin team and the founders asked me to come on as an admin. So I've been doing that for many years now, and it's been great. But while I love that community, there's only so much you can do in a Facebook comment. And that's why I try to do some free networking events in the Facebook group. I try to do them on a monthly basis as much as I can, but I got a pretty full plate. And then, with the Marketers Lounge, we probably have 8 or 9 Zoom calls a month that have a particular focus. Like our brainstorming sessions is where we get like in the trenches with each other and help each other figure out like if there's something wrong with our marketing, or how to divorce a client was a really popular topic a couple weeks ago.
That is an important.
Yeah. And then now we're starting next month, like AI demos. So we're all using AI in a very different way for each of our businesses or at our 9-to-5 jobs. And so each month now a member is going to show us like a workflow they created or some sort of thing that they built with AI. And that's really exciting because we're all trying to it's like drinking from a fire hose right now, right? With AI, and it's a lot to keep up with. And I'm just getting into, okay, how do I build an agent that's like my assistant? Because that's a skill I want to develop, not only just so I know how to do it, so then I can help other women do it, but I need an assistant in my business. At least somebody to keep up with my email, because my inbox is the bane of my existence. If you saw how many emails were in there, you would just probably be like, I'd get the side eye. There's a lot.
I might not even blink because mine is probably just as bad.
Okay, good. So I found there's 2 types of marketers. There's like team inbox 0, which I don't understand, you people. And then there's team like overflowing messages. And that's where I fall, because I really use it as a search. I've always been like that. Especially working in PR and some other places, like I never wanted to delete an email. I've been in situations where legally, with sunshine laws in Florida, I'm not supposed to be deleting emails. You can organize them better. And I think what I'm looking into now is like all the rules that you can establish on the back end of Google to sort your email. So we're going to try that first. But yeah, that's really been the motivation, is just to be helpful. And I think another reason why it's so important for me to build this is I have been that one woman marketing department before, especially when I've been brought into organizations multiple times to build the marketing team and department. And at the beginning, it's always just you and it's you doing all the things. And when you don't have a team to bounce ideas off of, or even just to learn from of what's everybody doing, I think it can be very detrimental to your career growth. Like I mentioned earlier, it's really great when you're thrown into the deep end because you do learn a lot of things. And I typically, like when I bring on an intern, I throw them into the deep end. I like to see how well they can swim and what areas they need help with. And then I can laser focus on, pulling them out of that part of the water. But, I want this to be a place where women don't have to do it all on their own, because you don't, and you shouldn't. You're never going to grow as much as if it's just you watering yourself. Like, you need other people pouring into you. And that's been my primary motivation.
That is so, one thing that you said, and you just reiterated it right now again, is like that this is, and there is, I think it's probably something we don't talk about as much, but there is like a culture in marketing that is just like, you're on your own, right? Like, great, I'm really good at what I do. And so there's like different pockets in marketing, but like, especially if you're somebody who's particularly like, oh, I'm a quick learner, right? Then it's like, oh, great, so you can do all of these things. And it's like, well, I'm a quick learner, but I still need someone to learn from. And that's that piece that it sounds like your organization is like filling in that spot of like, well, you need somewhere to learn from. I've had this conversation with so many people, especially so like a lot of the work that I do is with college students. And the conversation I always have with them is like, you are going to learn more in that office than you are ever going to learn in that classroom, because by the time you graduate, especially when it comes to marketing and communications, by the time you graduate, all those things they taught you are like already outdated. It's a whole new world over again.
I do the same thing with them. And what you just talked about made me think of two stories. One, the time when oh, Michele can do that. Like, that was always something that came up. And I was sitting in a meeting, and I was pretty new on the job in my first director role. And I have a wide skill set. I have a creative background. I have an analytical background. I write, even though I don't like to. And I have a photography background. And so we're sitting at a meeting talking about this big, important event coming up. And they were like, it'd be really great if we could make a video of interviewing our donors and our scholarship recipients and then play it at the scholarship luncheon. And everybody's like, oh yeah, that's a fantastic idea. And then all the eyes start moving over to me. Michele, photographer, you can edit and put a video together, right? And I'm like, well, I can try. I mean, I had videotape edit on my high school TV, class, and now everything's digital. I'm like, I guess I can figure it out. And so they gave me, Adobe Premiere Pro. They bought me a video camera. I was fine with the video camera. That I could handle. But when I got into Adobe Premiere Pro, I'm like, what is this? Because I could do Photoshop in my sleep. I could do Illustrator in my sleep. But this, I'm like, I just sat there like for days trying to figure out what to do. I went to Barnes and Noble, because this is how long ago it was, to buy the Adobe Premiere Pro Bible. And it was like this thick. And I'm like trying to read it. I'm like, I don't understand it. And then I had to go like try to find somebody on campus who knows how to do this that can help me. So it was an arduous process, but I finally got it done. And so that's just one example that happens over and over again to people in marketing, especially now with budgets are shrinking.
Yes.
And companies are expecting you to also, even though your workload is growing, they're expecting you to get it done faster because they're investing in AI to help you speed up your job. Well, if I had AI back then to do the video, that probably would have been really helpful. But it's so different now. And then the other story that you mentioned with the college students, I speak with them a lot. I still do a lot of mentoring for college students as well. And I'm constantly surprised by the number of students who are not taking advantage of getting internships. I tell them day one on campus, you need to find a campus job. I don't care what the job is. I don't care if it's related to your major or not, but you need to find something to do to start getting some experience and meeting the right people, because there's so many internships that they could be doing on campus while they're in school, especially if they work in marketing or PR. There's offices all over campus that's all people do all day, every day. And I was fortunate that I got connected to a really great internship opportunity my sophomore year of college. And by the end of my sophomore year, I had a job offer from them hey, when you graduate, we want you to stay on here. And it was my dream job and I loved it. And, it was in sports. It was something that I never thought that those opportunities existed. I had no idea that there was somebody in the athletics department designing publications or doing all the things that I got to do when I worked there. And it came from internships. So I'm constantly on students about doing it, especially now in marketing. Those entry level jobs are really changing rapidly and they're also drying up. And so you've got to figure out how
and then
are you going to come in?
Entry level, but you need 5 years experience.
Correct.
So hit the ground with those internships. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times though, that entry level experience, your internships will count. And I see a lot of, college grads skip over some of those jobs because they see those year requirements, not thinking they can count their internships. But it's a really interesting time. And we're gonna see some fallout from the changing kind of ladder as you grow in marketing and move up from entry level to director, VP, CMO. There's going to be a big gap there because of how AI has really disrupted things. The next generation is not going to be prepared to be a director, a VP, a CMO. And we talk about that all the time in the Marketers Lounge. We dive in deeply to that because we're trying to see, like, with people that we bring on our team, we're being very cognizant to, okay, we need to train them for the future. Or whenever we're, proposing jobs or writing job descriptions, we're keeping all of this in mind.
Definitely. And now I think we've kind of covered who the community is, why it matters to you, which is definitely like, that gap that you're filling, which is so much like people think, oh, great. All 30, 40 years ago, you just, as long as you have a college degree, you'll be fine. That's not the world we live in anymore. And so especially when it comes to marketing, communications, PR, like it's a different animal. And so I love that you're like filling that gap. One thing that I notice about your community that is like how plugged in people are, because when you're maintaining communities, especially over extended periods of time, both in the Facebook group and then outside of the Facebook group, it's really hard to keep that engagement. Is there any particular things that you think have these have contributed to how we have maintained that engagement? Because you guys have, comparing to other groups that I see active, even in this space and other spaces, everyone's involved. Everyone's part of the conversation. People want to help each other. And that's something that's really unique, I think.
Yeah. So there's a few things that I found have gone into that. And, Facebook and a private paid community function very differently in a lot of different ways. And so for the Facebook group, one of the things that I see is you need to have structure and you need to have rules and you need to have those rules enforced. Do I get nasty DMs from people in the group when I suspend them or remove comments because they've violated the rules? Yes, I do. And I just explain to them, look, these rules are in place because it keeps the group high quality. And what you can see, and I've watched it happen in other communities, marketing communities on Facebook that I've been a part of, nobody's really monitoring the conversations and it just becomes a pitch fest. Everything's a pitch, or like those little fake little stories that are advertising their services, but not really, but it is. And nobody engages in those learning educational posts because the shtick is up. Like, everybody knows what's happening. It's not authentic. And especially with AI, AI content, you can spot it, the patterns. And yes, as a writer, I understand that AI stole all this content to train its learning models. They stole from writers. They stole copyrighted works to build it. So it does write like a human in that sense, but it doesn't mix it up like a human professional writer would. So when you see that happening in groups, engagement will go down because the value is not there anymore. And so we're very intentional. I will crack the whip on the rules in the women in marketing group because I'm very protective of the community. I want to keep it high value, especially we've got almost 97,000 members in that group. It is a lot to manage, and we're a volunteer team who manages that. There's other admins, there's moderators. We get hundreds of new member requests a day. And when I approve a member, I am personally digging through their answers that we collect. So that's huge. Like if you want to have a private community and make sure the right people are in there, especially on Facebook, you want to have those qualifying questions. But you also then need to really vet the person as well. So I have a whole process that I do for that to minimize the amount of join that fire retirement group. Like I've reported them so often. I'm like, why are they still on Facebook? Because all they do is go into other groups and spam. And they're all a whole bunch of bots and fake profiles that are doing that. And so crypto, retirement, insurance sales, like all kinds of stuff. Creepy dudes trying to come into the group and start DMing girls. So I'm on it. Like if somebody slips through the cracks, it's very rare. And we have other members that help with approving the community. So have some guardrails for the people you let in and then how the community works. Yeah. I'm building a new group on LinkedIn, and it's strictly for women in the US who are freelancing. I want to give them networking opportunities with each other, build relationships with other freelancers, because you're going to get clients or prospective clients come to you where you're not the right person for, or maybe you're the right person for part of it. And then you need to go and find somebody else to partner up with. So that's the purpose of that group. And I'm doing the same thing. Rules. And there's post approval turned on. So that's another way to really keep your group in line. And I'm also vetting every single person. I am declining people who are not in the US, who don't work in marketing, and they're probably trying to get in there to sell, a financial services package, a life insurance policy, or coaching or something else. And so I'm very protective of the communities that I build. The other piece is you have to have conversation starters as well, especially on Facebook right now. Facebook's been really interesting. Our engagement has gone down quite a bit, and that's across the board happening to a lot of groups. Yes. I don't know if that's going to change because Facebook quietly launched a new app called Forum. And if you open it up, I don't even know if it's on Android yet. I've heard people have had a hard time finding it on Android, but it is in the Apple App Store. Mm-hmm. And you open it up and it is just groups. It's just feeds from your groups. I have not seen a single advertisement yet, but I'm sure that's coming. And it's groups that I'm in. And then it's also suggesting groups that are open and public. So it's interesting. I don't know if people are going to migrate over to that app. It's like another app that we have to go into every day. And I think that's a problem. I don't know what their thought process here is. Yeah, somebody mentioned that they're trying to maybe compete with Reddit with having a standalone. I'm like, okay, that could work. But, years ago, we were getting, even in some of the personal groups that I built, like outside of women in marketing, I was getting over 50% organic reach in my groups. That's why I created them. It was so that people could see my content. And it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
I'm hearing there's two buckets here that are like key, because I want to really like hone in for those who are listening, who are trying to build communities, because there's people that I'm going to focus on these two first, and then I really connected with you on one of those parts that you said. So first, it seems like it's a quality thing, right? So the first thing is the quality of the members, the quality of who's in the group, and then it's the quality of the content that you're either publishing or approving. So it might be your content, it might be somebody else's content, but we're saying, is this a value add for the people that are in this group? If it's not a value add, correct, it's gone bye-bye, and that counts for people and it counts for content.
Yeah, and to build off of that too, one of the things that I had noticed is we're getting a lot of repetitive questions all the time in women in marketing. And when
Yes.
you have repetitive questions all of the time, it's going to turn people away. They're not going to want to keep giving the same answers all of the time. And so what I did is then I built the guides section, and
Yes.
where I pinned posts to the guide section that answered those common questions. So when we get a question of how do I start freelancing, which I at least get a few of those every day. I mean, that's especially when you get to the size of the group that we have, you're going to get repetitive questions. People are going to have the same questions all the time, every day. And so I built the guide section. So there's a whole guide on freelancing with some of our best posts with the best advice. And people, I decline the post. I tell them to go to the guide section. I also tell them to use the search feature.
Yeah.
I know the search feature isn't the best in Facebook groups,
Oh, yeah, that's true.
but I have also, with a lot of those repetitive questions that people ask, I will go in and type into search like that keyword that they're asking, and
Yeah.
stuff pops up. So I know they didn't do that, because
Yeah.
if they did, they wouldn't have submitted a post.
Yep.
So make sure that you have something in place for that too. You know, at the beginning, it might be fine because you're trying to build up engagement, but when months or years go by and you're getting literally the same question every day,
Yeah.
it's people are just going to skip over it. So you need to build some resources out to help with that.
It sounds like one of these, so like a best practice for those who don't work in marketing that are tuning along. One of the best practices that we follow when we're building engagement outside of communities is a methodology called EAT, right? EEAT. And so it sounds like we're like, okay, like it's that systems mindset that's saying, okay, like we need to apply this also in this other area, because we have to create content like FAQs, things, because if you have questions, you want to find answers, but the answer isn't always to post about it, right? And so it's sometimes to go looking. I think we're increasingly moving to a society that's that we have to do a little bit more training. And I noticed that too a lot with the younger college age that I deal with, is a lot of times I'm doing a lot of that training of like, okay, like, can you Google it? Like, ask GPT before you ask me, you know, like silly little things like that. It's like, just because we come from the world where so much information is just readily available that some people are like, oh, I have to look for it. That's new. Like it's kind of funny that we've gone in that direction, because I think like my generation, it was all about like it was the Wild West when we started on the internet, and so it was like you weren't finding answers yourself. You were at least trying to make one up that sounded smart enough.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Think about any sort of directions that you can put in your community, even just directions on how to engage with your community. Pin it somewhere. That can be really helpful. And I have that in when I have new members come into the Marketers Lounge, my paid community. In school, I have a welcome lesson, and it takes them through about 7 steps of here's how to get plugged in. Because even when you have a paid community, it's still shocking to me how people come through and they're lost. Even though you've explained it in your emails and you think you've laid it out well, how it works, they're still confused and don't know what to do. And so,
and so it's like, okay, how can we satisfy all of these? Because we want everybody to from the community and nobody to walk away like, oh, this was a waste of my time.
And help them understand where to find the things. So one of the things I started implementing in my paid community is a connection chat. So new members have to fill out, the workflow is, they pay for the membership, they get an email from me automatically that then prompts them to fill out a little form that's just helping me understand where they're at and what they're wanting, so then I can plug them into the right resources or introduce them to the right people in the community. So that once they fill that out, then they're prompted to schedule a 15-minute connection chat with me. That's where I just make sure hey, are you getting our weekly newsletter? I have go out every Sunday that gives all the Zoom links for our meetings, tells them what's coming up in the group. And then, have you been able to get into school okay? And some of them I've learned from those connection chats have had a little bit of an issue getting into school because those emails from school have been getting caught in their spam and promotions folder.
Yeah.
So have that checkpoint, especially if you're building something where people are paying to be in a membership or in a community. And that can help reduce churn by making sure that line of communication is open and that you're not like they're not a number to you.
Yeah.
They are an important person involved in the community.
Yeah. So that sounds like we've it's now like three, right? So we have like quality of content, quality of the members, right? Who's actually joining the group, and then the quality of the connection. We're not just leaving people to flounder and figure it out for themselves. I mean, if you're lost, let's help you get there. But we're not just relying on somebody to say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. This is a lot of information to take in. I'm being proactive and touching base and making that outreach so that they know, hey, you have a place to go if you feel overwhelmed.
Yes. And I think even if you're building that free community on Facebook for your business, but you're using it essentially as a lead magnet to then convert them, you will want to apply some of those same principles that I just shared of what I do inside my paid community. The Women in Marketing Facebook group that was created, there's no monetization strategy in place. The founders do not want it to be a monetization tool. It's just strictly community to help each other out. So, and the size, right? It's so big. It would be impossible to have connection chats one-on-one with the hundreds of new members we welcome every week. I mean, we'd have to have like a whole army of volunteers.
That's where like having like for paid community, right? Like that's where like your drip campaigns matter and your other things. And so that's important, but it's like all they have their place in different communities on the level of investment somebody's willing to make too, right? Because like if I'm just here for free content, that's a different experience than, hey, I paid for this because they're like, I want to make sure I'm providing you value if you expected that by paying for a service.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, so
people show up differently.
One thing here, because I love already this conversation is so great because we're getting so much value and like these are like points that we can walk away from and say, geez, I'm going to try this. Like I'm going to look at these pieces. But also there are struggles, and especially from the perspective of somebody that's at the starting point of building a community, sometimes the struggles can be daunting. And so many times these conversations circle around like, this is what you should do. And look at this amazing community I built. And we don't dig into, there are hard parts of this, right? One thing you did mention is like how many times you get messages from people cursing you out about like, why didn't you approve my post? As that's one little tiny piece of it. But what would you say is maybe one of the really, really hard parts of building or sustaining that community?
Yeah, I think it's just like the hard part at the beginning is just getting the right people there. And I can tell you, I'm a transparent person, so I have no pride in this game at all. The LinkedIn group that I'm trying to build right now, I think I have like 30 people in it. I launched it over the weekend. I invited 148 women in marketing who I know are freelancing that I'm connected to on the LinkedIn platform, and yet I only have 30 of them. And so the other thing you have to realize too, when you're making invitations to people, is not everybody sees the invitation. Like I know on LinkedIn, not everybody's active every day. Like maybe they check it once a month. And to be honest, like I don't know what it looks like to get an invitation to join a group on LinkedIn, because I haven't gotten an invitation to join a group on LinkedIn. I don't know what it looks like for them. I don't know where the invitation is. Is it going to their inbox? Is it going to their notifications? Not really sure. So getting that started and getting engagement started in that group, even though we're just like going to hit a week tomorrow, it's starting to kind of like pick up a little bit of traction. I've started getting a couple requests every day to join. which is good, but I still think about all the people that I invited. And then I also invited about 489 people from my email list who I know are freelancers. And I think a couple of them trickled over yesterday. But again, it's just, there's a level of repetition that you have to do that sometimes is uncomfortable because you feel like a broken record. And I'm not somebody that likes to be a broken record and say the same things all over the time. It's like, I already told you, like, why don't you know this? But you have to remember you are competing. You're just like a little speck in the amount of information that somebody is bombarded with every day. And on a space like LinkedIn, it's gotten so much worse. Like that's another platform where my engagement and reach was really, really healthy. And last year it started plummeting. I mean, I have like 6,000 followers. It's not a ton compared, to other people on LinkedIn. And sometimes I might have a reach of 100 or 200.
Yeah.
And my content strategy hasn't changed. My quality of my content hasn't changed, but things have shifted on there because there's so many more people really honestly posting AI slop every day, even AI comments, that it's really changed the landscape over there. And so that is hard. Like the getting going is hard. And a paid community can be really hard. I have had 3 different paid communities over the years. Well, actually 4, because one, I beta tested a concept of the Marketer's Lounge about 4 years ago.
Okay.
And where like I offered the experience for free for 30 days. I wanted to test to see if it would work. I had like over 20 people say yes. And then when it came time to sign up, it was like 2 people joined. And I don't have high price points either.
Yeah.
I try to keep my stuff affordable for my communities, or at least have an affordable entry point, because so many of I've paid several $100s a month to be part of a paid community on marketing, and not everybody can do that. And there have been times where I can't do that. I've had to say, nope, can't do this one anymore. And I'm always tracking like the ROI on my spend for things like that. So it's hard launching communities. I've realized more and more how big my email list needs to be, or how dialed in my email list needs to be, that I have the right people who are ready to buy right now. And that is a very difficult thing I have found to build, and getting people off the fence to say yes. And there's somebody off the top of my head I can think about who I've met with a couple times over the years, especially when I had like a free consultation set up in my business. I don't do those anymore. She would come and I would give her advice, and she really should be in the Marketer's Lounge.
Yeah.
2-3 years later, she's still stuck in the same position. But had she got off the fence and joined, she wouldn't be in the position. I know she wouldn't have been, because if she came to the calls, she would have gotten the support that she needed to then change her circumstances. So that part can be frustrating as a business owner, when you know things can help people and then you don't see them saying yes. So I don't blame the other person for that. I really end up putting the blame on myself. Like, I need to communicate it better. And I would say that's the other difficult thing about this whole journey. Even for somebody in marketing like me, I have found it is 10 times harder to market yourself and your own business than it is to do it for someone else.
That is so true.
And it's universal. I have yet to meet somebody that is so amazing at marketing themselves more than they do for their clients. I haven't met that person yet. Maybe they're out there and I would love to chat with them, but it has been a learning process. It has taken me years to get to this point where my messaging is now. and I still don't think my messaging is good enough.
Mm.
And my ads manager, she's so great because she talks me off the ledge, when I have my little freak out moments of like, nobody's getting it, or nobody's, opting in, or nobody's doing this. And she's like, your message is good. We just need to keep, looking for the right people, because I have my personas so clearly defined.
Yeah.
I mean, pages and pages and pages of research that I have collected over the years, from conversations, from deep diving on forums and blogs and all the things you're supposed to do for market research. I have a stack of it.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's that never ending quest of finding your people.
Yeah.
And it is challenging because there's a lot of people that are trying to find their people. And there are other marketing communities out there that have thousands of members in it that are paying to be there. I've seen them, but they don't even offer a fraction of what I'm offering at the price point that I'm offering. So I know it can be done. So that's the other thing. Like, I encourage people to look around. Like, are they really trying to build something so outrageous and like that maybe the world isn't ready for yet? Or is somebody else out there with less experience and less to offer already crushing it while you're just like figuring out what the heck is wrong with my offer or with me? And so I have these conversations in my head all the time. So it's just, you got to keep going. I talked to my business coach that I've had on and off for over the years. He's very upfront. Like, he's not like a take your money kind of guy, And he's like, Michele, you can't quit. He's like, you're so close to like getting that breakthrough, but you're at the point where so many entrepreneurs give up, and that's why they fail.
Yes.
And so his words to me just like have implanted into my brain, and I keep remembering that too. And I have other, like, he was a perfect mentor in the perfect season that I was in when I was first getting started. And even though I worked in marketing for so long, I didn't know what a funnel was. We didn't use funnels in higher education. We didn't use funnels in sports. And I also worked for established brands who, like, people would die to like get tickets to our games or to get into our university. Like, it was so cutthroat at times to get their hands on things like that. And then, little old me, who nobody knows and nobody cares, it's like trying to build a brand and help people. And it has been the hardest work I've ever done, but also the most rewarding. I mean, when I was able to help a single mom of 3 boys get $100,000 pay increase, not a $100,000 job, just an increase by making a lateral move somewhere else, like, that made it all worth it. And she's since gone on. I helped her with her last negotiation. We were looking at like a 350 base and a 6-figure bonus. Like, she's crushing it. But she's still, I know, and she knows, she's still underpaid significantly than some of the men in her industry. So like, that's our next hurdle together. But yeah, so when things like that happen, that reinvigorates me on the days where I'm like, this isn't working. I don't know what to do. But that's also the beauty of the Marketers Lounge, because there's other freelancers in there. We might have completely different businesses where they're in the trenches doing marketing. And for me, like, I still do some marketing services, but it looks very different than what I was doing several years ago. But we're in the trenches together. And if one of us is having a bad day, or if I'm like, I can't look at this sales page another second that I built, can I get some feedback? And one of our brand designers gave me some amazing feedback the other day, because I never like my sales pages. And I keep changing them, and I do see them get better as I keep changing them. But I had just, for the Marketers Lounge, for the first year, I didn't have a name for the community, and I didn't have a sales page for the community, yet I still sold it a bunch of times. People still came in, and I'm like, imagine what happens if I have a sales page. And what happens is nobody's coming in like from the sales page. It's still connections with people in my email list. So I had Nicole in our, well, we have 3 Nicoles right now in our group. So OG Nicole is what we call her because she was one of our founding members. I'm like, can you take a look at my sales page? Because I'm like, I hate it. I hate it. And I just don't even know what to do. And she's like, oh, yeah, I can give you some feedback. And she gave me some great constructive feedback. I take 0 things personally. I so valued her insights because she is a true expert when it comes to building web pages, sales pages, and all the things. And so I like wrote down all her suggestions. I'm starting to rework it. I'm starting to like create templates in Claude to rebuild, some sales pages more easily. And then I figured out a way to then take Claude's HTML, put it in high level and have high level build content blocks. So I don't have to go in and edit code because I tend to break things, even though I know code. I'll forget a bracket or something or a semicolon and then nothing works. Yeah. So Claude's been great for that. So yeah, having that space, especially when you're starting out, and being in the right room with other people who understand the challenges and the highs and the lows is one going to help you reach success faster. Because if you had to figure it out all on your own, you're going to get left behind at this point, especially with AI in the mix, because people are able to move faster now on their business ideas. But 2, it takes away some of the mental load of doing this. For me, like, I don't have anybody else in my family who understands what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, even a former boyfriend didn't understand what exactly I was building and doing. And there are friends that I talk to about my goals for my business. Like, one of my key goals in my business is to retire my mom. Like, that is my focus right now.
Yeah.
And so there's things that I have to do and things I have to build and sales I have to optimize to be able, to retire my mom.
Yeah.
And if you talk numbers with certain people that don't understand what's possible, then they think you're nuts and they will not be supportive and they will try to steer you back to what's normal for people. Like, well, shouldn't you just go get a 9-to-5 job?
Yeah.
Like, I could, I might be able to get like a marketing teaching job. If I went back to a 9-to-5, that's what I'd want to do. And I could probably get low 6 figures doing that. But low 6 figures is not going to retire my mom. It's not really going to do much for me either. Like, when you think about the state of how the cost of living is right now. So that's not going to cut it. Like, I need to 10x that to really do some of the things that I want to do. And so you're going to encounter people who don't understand what you're doing. And like, I'm like a faith-driven person. And, I understand for me, and I know this might not be universal because everybody has different beliefs, but God can give you a vision for something, or God can help you dream up something, but then it might just sound like absolutely insane. And I know what I'm trying to build probably sounds absolutely insane to a lot of people. But if the dream is given to you, if God has ordained it, you're going to have what you need to bring it to fruition.
Yes.
It just is not on your timetable. Like, I'm 6 years in and still feel like I'm still not where my very first goal was that I wanted to have, let alone retiring my mom. Like, this is like a journey to get to that spot. And, maybe I'll be told differently. Maybe God will reveal something else to me where, okay, well, you did this for a reason because I wanted to prepare you for this other thing that you haven't even thought about. And this is where we're going now. I mean, there's definitely been times in my life where I've received direction, even when I quit my job. I wasn't expecting to quit my job in 2018. But when I heard God say to me, get out. Like those were the two words
Mm.
that was given to me. And I'm like, what? But he had provided for me to be able to step away from my job. I went back to school, and that was a very good process. But then that whole shift of just walking away from my well, I say 9 to 5, but it's really not 9 to 5, right?
In
It's like
marketing, I don't think I've ever heard of
9
nine
to
to five.
midnight,
Yes.
right? And then weekends. So, but when I left that, I didn't know there could be another world. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And after I graduated from my master's degree, then it was COVID. And I interviewed a few places. I was still thinking at that time, well, maybe I'm just going to go be a VP somewhere. And then it got to a point where, like, my doctors didn't really want me being exposed to anything. I was in a bubble for a while. I have a heart
Yeah.
thing, so they were a little worried about that. Nobody knew what was going on with COVID at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I had been consulting while I was in grad school. I'm like, well, maybe I'll just try my hand at doing this full time. And then through that process, I just started learning about other different types of online businesses. And I'm like, ooh, this is really interesting. And then everybody's getting laid off, and all of my former interns and employees or their friends and family are now coming to me for resume advice, job searching advice, all the things that I always helped them with when I was like
Yeah.
teaching at university. And so I'm like, well, then maybe this is a business. And so I turned it into a business. And, I've gone down a path that I never, ever envisioned for myself. And so I share that transparency with everybody listening, because whether you're faith-based or not, you do have a purpose in this life. You do have a path that you need to go down. Nothing is ever wasted if you stop and learn and observe what's going on. Like, it's the whole concept of failing upwards, right? I'm
Yes.
running ads right now. I have a great ads manager. If anybody's running ads on Facebook now, it's not an easy thing at the moment. Everybody's complaining about how their ads that used to be really successful are in the toilet. But we've gone into it with the mindset of, this is a learning opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
we're paying Facebook to help us learn some things faster.
Yeah.
And so when you approach it that way and you take time to recognize what's not working and what's working, and then start, okay, marketing is just an experiment. I tell college students and entry level marketers that all the time. You may not get it right out of the gate. Like, you have to keep tweaking and experimenting, and then, move the good ideas forward and cut off the rest. Like, take what you learned from it and go. So with all of that being said, it's so important to just surround yourself with people who are doing something similar to you. Doesn't have to be the same theme or goal, for your business, but they're in the trenches building something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I happen to love building things from nothing. I'm very good at coming up with ideas that make people money. And that's probably some of my favorite services that I offer, like in a one-to-one setting. But, like, you also need to be with people for where you are in your business growth phase, or if you're building a nonprofit or you're building another community. But then you need to be with somebody who's 10 steps ahead of you, who's
Yeah.
already achieved the thing that you want. Like, one of my mentors now that I'm working with, his business averages $1,000 a day. He's not on social media in the sense of like posting all the time. He doesn't really post much. He does have a couple ad campaigns running, but everything else is happening from his email list. And I'm like, that's the direction that I want to take the business. I also have other members or other mentors who are doing 7 figures a year, and they're probably only working about 10 to 20 hours a week. The way that they've optimized their systems, they don't have a large team. There might be 2 to 3 people working in the business. And that to me sounds good. I know it takes time to get there, and some people will achieve it faster than others. I feel like I'm like a turtle at times in growth for things, and there's people that have been able to just figure things out faster. But I also know, like, one of my downfalls is I have too many interests and I have too many ideas and I want to do everything. And so I've had to get better at trying to control that. I have a
so deep. That one felt
yeah.
so deep, because sometimes people think, oh wow, you're so skilled, you can do so many things, but sometimes that's the problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. Like I've had a couple people ask me, like, do you have ADHD, Michelle? I'm like, I don't know, but maybe. Like
It
I
sounds right.
I don't know. It could very well be. I mean, I actually, like, at 3 a.m. the other night when I was still I like to write or like do deep thinking after midnight. It's really weird. I've always been like this, like even in school, even in high school, I was always writing my papers in the middle of the night. It's like that's when it would come to me of like what I needed to say. And so I was still up, like trying to get myself ready for bed. And I'm like, somebody had mentioned ADHD to me that day. And I'm like, went to Dr. Google, right? So like I found a free test on psychology today. And then they were like, you're on like the low end. So there were several things that like I did not resonate with at all on
Yeah.
that list. But the things about all the ideas all the time and jumping around to
Yes.
things, I catch myself doing that all the time where like my brain just wants to go to that other thing, even though I shouldn't be doing that other thing. I know I shouldn't be doing that other thing, but like I got to go do this thing that I want to do right now. And like that other thing, I'll do it later, So I've developed I'm a paper planner kind of gal. So I've developed a planner for me for how my brain works, as crazy as it is. And I've started using some different pages lately that have helped me because I have a problem with time and thinking I can fit more things into time than I can. And it's negatively impacted me when it comes to like launching.
Yeah.
I have a workshop next week. And I haven't talked enough about the workshop next week, and sales are not where I was expecting it to be. And so it's a reminder to myself, like, I really do need to give myself more time, or I need to start outsourcing some of the marketing piece, because I'm also in the trenches, like building some things that my current clients and current members really need right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do too much, and I've always been that way of doing too much, whether it was, being on the yearbook staff or my internship or my jobs. I was the over and above and beyond person all the time. But that leads you to burnout real fast.
It's so huge. And so there's so many awesome nuggets, but a couple things I wanted to pull out from what you said now. Like first is you mentioned like the relationships, right? It's like sometimes it's like we need all of them, right? So for example, it really resonated with me when you talked about like, oh, why aren't we here? I remember I was working for one particular client and running like multiple different campaigns for them. And I was like kicking myself, like, dang, I feel like these should be performing, whatever. And something just like came in my mind. It's just like, look up benchmarks. And when I looked up benchmarks, I'm like, wait, I was expecting for this to go viral, or the clients, because unrealistically so, like was expecting this should go viral on LinkedIn. Like, first of all, it's LinkedIn, breathe deeply. And second, second of all, I'm looking, I'm like, wait a minute. Our click-through rates are like 14%. The average on LinkedIn is like from 2% to 4%. I'm like, we're doing good. But I had to go and look that up. And if it hadn't entered my mind somehow because of some conversation I had with someone else, right? I wouldn't have even known to like, let me go look at these benchmarks and let me see where we fall in this. And then I'm like, oh, I actually know what I'm doing. I do pretty, like, gosh darn it. This. And so, but it's so funny because in that one, when we're on our own and we don't have that mirror or somebody to help you like think through, is we always have that tendency of like, let me beat myself up a little bit here because I should be doing better. And I should it should have I should post it today and it should have 20,000 views by tomorrow. Why aren't we at 20,000 views,
Yeah.
And it's like that piece, but it helps the balance. And then there's those relationships you talked about, you need somebody in the trenches at the same level as you are. So you can look and say, oh, this is not unusual. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
But then you also need somebody who's already achieved those things.
Yeah.
So that you can say, okay, it is possible, right? Because sometimes, like you said, your family members, the people in your immediate, like people you went to school with, the people you think, oh, these are my lifelong friends, whatever, they don't see the big vision. They don't understand that. And they tell you, oh, that seems a little crazy. Like, why don't you just aren't you so lucky you get to work from home? Like, does that mean you only go, that's what I get a lot. It's also you get to go on all the school trips with your kid and all this stuff. And I'm like, God forgive me. I love being a mom. That's not my jam, right? My husband loves, next week he's going to, and I'm like, I'm so glad that you're this person, because for me, I'm love kids. Just as soon as they get to that point where they're deciding on college, I'm like, that's when I love you. The rest of the time I probably could do it. Everybody has strengths. Everybody has your areas. Yeah. And then I also add to that list that sometimes it's also really good for us to have somebody in our life. And that's where the kind of groups you're building are so important, that we're pouring into. Because sometimes when you're surrounded by people that are either at the same level all the time or above you all the time, you always feel like I'm still fighting to get there. But then you get around those people that I get to pour in. It's like, wow, that felt really good. It was really validating to say, oh, I did struggle with that 5 years ago, and this is how I overcame it. And then watching somebody else overcome, like that woman that you helped to scale and increase, it's a circle. We need community. And sometimes when we think professional, we're like, oh, community, I get that from church. I get that from my neighborhood. I get that from, but you also need community in your professional life. It helps you to stay sane almost.
Yeah, you really do. And, you brought up a great example about benchmarking, and I never want people to get trapped in the comparison, because that can be a slippery slope. But with one of my mentors, he's transparent with his numbers. He'll share breakdowns of launches and email campaigns. And when I do the math, and granted, math is not my thing. I took every option I could in college to get out of taking extra, doing math, whatever I could.
Don't get me started on forget it.
Yeah. But when I do that, and have a conversation with him and compare numbers, I'm like, my issue isn't necessarily that my email marketing sucks or anything like that when I'm not making the sales that I want. It's a volume problem. It's a people issue where when I do the ratios, I'm on par. I mean, I'm not quite where he is, obviously, but my numbers are really close to his in conversions.
Percentage-wise, yeah.
Correct. So when I look at that, I'm like, okay, I know I'm on the right track. Now it's just a matter of building up the audience and really building up my audience of the right people who are wanting to be part of a community, because this isn't for everyone. But
and that's something too that is so huge. With a nonprofit that I've been working with, they were like, oh yeah, well, we want a broader reach for this one campaign we're doing. We just want more people. And I'm just like, okay, but what about the quality of people? And so we focus that first year on quality, right? Let's change that. And their donations more than doubled, but it was less people. And they're like, I wonder why that happened. And it's not all it's the numbers game, but it's a balance. It's also understanding, am I reaching people that are ready for my message? Because not every time you have, not every single person who says, ooh, I'm so excited about this community is ready to be a part of that community.
Correct. And even with other offers I make, people will raise their hands. So, I had an idea for an offer where if somebody fills out a questionnaire that I developed, and then I'm going to map out how they make their next 5K or their first 5K as a freelancer. I'm giving them price points to consider. I'm giving them package ideas or service ideas. I'm giving them lead generation ideas, like real step by step. Like you do these things, you get this result,
Oh, yeah.
as long as they're able to figure out all of the pieces. So I had a lot of people raise hands about it, but then you tell them, more details. Like they knew what the price was going to be, so that wasn't like a shock. But not everybody is ready to take action. And I've had people come back to me years later, sometimes after meeting with me or after having a session with me, and like a year might go by, 2 years might go by, and they're like, okay, Michele, I'm ready now. And I'm like, okay, great, let's get started. So sometimes it's hard. It's hard when you're like so wanting to help people, but then you just also have to remember there's other things going on in their life, right? Than that one particular problem that they have that you can help them with. Like, especially I think about working professionals and people in certain age gaps. Several years ago, I was working a 9 to 5 job, or, 9 to midnight, as I mentioned earlier. And my dad got sick, and only child, divorced parents.
Yeah.
I'm the caretaker, and I'm not complaining about that at all. I'm just setting the scene of when that was the focus of, sometimes I had to leave I'd get a call and he's in the hospital, or, I'd be visiting him and I have to call 911. Like it was a very tumultuous time. That is not a season where I would have wanted to build a business.
Yeah.
I would have wanted to change jobs. If anything, it was like, quit the job, not like go get a new one, right? Because I at least had built enough trust there where they did let me go work remotely from my dad's house the last few months of his life. So I was able to be there every day and still work, which was not easy. I slept 4 hours usually every night. It was about all the sleep I could get, trying to juggle both. But it's not a season of growth. And for me, it was like a season of survival. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are trapped in that season of survival. So I think when you are building something or building community, keep that in mind and just do the best you can to meet people where they're at, knowing that where they're at right now might not be the place for them to work with you.
Yeah.
But keep that connection going, keep that message going, keep emailing them, and when they're ready, they'll reach out. But at the same time, you got to go after the people who are ready. And sometimes to go after the people who are ready, you have to put yourself in the right rooms. Yes. So in the Marketers Lounge, we have had freelancers join, and freelancers get clients because of the relationships that they've built in that community. Whether it's another, like I hired the ads manager who was one of our founding members, or somebody else has been hired because they're working on a big project and they don't do this one component, and they went to the Marketers Lounge because they've built the relationship with these people, and they're on the Zoom calls together. They're supporting each other in school. So it's a balance of, serving people who are the right clients for you, but they're not ready yet. Yeah. And then getting into the rooms where you're going to get connected to the clients who are ready now, or the community supporters who are ready now. Like somebody has a checkbook somewhere for your nonprofit people that they desperately want to write a check. Yeah. But they they haven't met the right organization to write it out to. Yep. And it's all of those relationships that you have to just keep working on.
Everything is about, when you're talking about marketing, and I think that's one piece I was fortunate to learn early on, because my first dive into marketing was on the corporate side of direct selling industry. And so everything in direct selling is all relationship based. And so I had that opportunity, and that I started to learn that. And so it's one of those things that, like, even though I've walked away, I'm like, yeah, I'm working majority of my time in nonprofit now, but those lessons, like, there's so much that's transferable. That's like, okay, we need to build relationships, not just ask for money. We need to, like, help people feel like they're included and part of something. And that's, I think, also what makes these communities so so awesome is because at the end of the day, yes, we want to be able to make an income from something. Yes, we want, but when you walk away with human connections to real people, you just feel like even if I'm not there yet, I have more hope that I can get there.
Yeah. It's for me, like I'm a person of service. Like I like serving others, and that has been a huge win. Like I'm always happy when I can help somebody else succeed further than I ever got. Like
Mm,
that's amazing. And that makes it worth it to me to keep going down this weird path that a lot of people don't understand. And it's hard. It's a hard path to go down if you don't have the right support around you.
yeah.
And luckily, my mom is very supportive of whatever I'm wanting to do. And so she cheers me on. And I have a couple friends who do too, but I also have like some well-meaning friends that are like, are you sure you don't want to go back and work for a university? Like, is this really what God's telling you to do? And I'm like, I think it is. I mean, I can always be wrong, like, about things. Like I'm
That's
not
what
like
you were feeling
100%
right
right about everything. But it's like, I don't feel that pull to be doing anything else
now.
right now. And
Yeah.
I think this is my lane, for better or worse, right now. And I see the end goal. I know it's possible. I've sat down and figured out all the math. I've shown it to my mom too, and like, look at these numbers.
Yeah.
It's not unrealistic at
Mhm.
all what I'm trying to do. It's just getting all of the right pieces of the puzzle together. It's that messaging piece that I think that part is never done in your
Oh, never.
business.
And yeah,
Always evolving,
yes.
right? It's even your audience can evolve over time too. Like, I don't know if your community of listeners is familiar with Amy Porterfield at all. She's big in the online education space. Her
Mhm.
business has made over $100 million in sales. She taught other people how to make online courses.
Yeah.
And that was like her signature offer. Well, Amy has eliminated her signature offer that was the bulk of her business.
Wow.
And she's shifted. And it's because she's been in business for so long. She explained this on a podcast, because at first, when the news hit, everybody was thinking, oh, courses must be dead. That's why
Yeah.
Amy's not doing it anymore. But she explained where, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but this is the interpretation that I had of it. She's been in business for so long. She has these relationships with her people,
Yeah.
and her people have kind of come along the ride with her as her business has grown,
Yes.
and their businesses have grown. Their issues now that they are facing in their business aren't these entry level build a business type things.
Yeah.
Now it's scale the business type things.
Hmm.
So eventually everybody reaches a plateau where they just can't get that income higher than what it is.
Hmm.
For Amy, like, and what I see her offering right now, she is determined for her audience that income plateau is 150,000. So all of her messaging now has shifted and is speaking directly to that woman
Yeah.
who's got a business, has proven it, but can't crack that 150, income threshold. So I think it's always very important for us to remember that messaging piece is evolving. And then I think also sometimes our offers need to evolve too.
Yeah.
I noticed a while ago that courses weren't really attracting my audience, because when you stop and think about my audience, after the pandemic part was over, to the sense where people were leaving their house again and they weren't just sitting on the computer all day.
Mhm.
Now everybody's busy schedule is back. to normal. You know, the kids are doing their activities, you're going on vacations, you're going out to dinner and all the things. But then work has also changed so rapidly too. And there's a level of overwhelm that now for me to ask them to devote 6 weeks to going all in on something for my audience does not make sense and hasn't made sense for years, which is why I switched over to just doing 1 hour, hour and a half workshops and help them solve one particular thing and get them that win and then take them on a journey, you know, after that, like when they're ready for that next step.
Yeah.
So we've got to be looking at that. You know, social media is shifting around. I don't like building a business on borrowed land, as you know, the phrase goes.
I'm with you.
And I like social media, but I don't. Like, I really don't want to be creating content all day. Although I do love creating memes, and I started doing that for my new Instagram account because I was at a social media workshop the other week where they were talking about how they make memes to connect to growing their business revenue and reach. And I'm like, I felt like I had permission again to create memes with purpose. I'm like, I can do this. This kind of social posting I can handle because I can, you know, at times be funny and put something relatable together through a meme. So, yeah, so you can't get so set into what gets you a win and get so focused on that where you then miss opportunities for growth, because that's then how you can start getting stuck.
Yeah.
So you just have to keep an awareness level open. You have to have conversations with your people. I think that's another great reason to have a community in any business is you get that direct line to talk and that your community trusts you to listen and to then take action, especially if it's something that is a glaring thing that needs to change.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We've only got a couple questions left, so I'm going to go ahead and dive in here. Outside of your work, what is something that helps you to recharge or stay grounded? We all need those things. We all need to connect outside of the computer screen.
Yeah.
What is it for you?
Sure. Well, in full transparency, there's certain times in seasons of business growth where I am absolutely terrible at doing that. And I am so focused on whatever the thing is that I'm building. And right now I am in that season. I had some opportunities come up that were really great for me, like a brand partnership, doing corporate training. And like everything just happened all at once.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to say no to any of this because of what the outcome could be for my business growth. So like, I need to buckle in and just get to work. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing right now. But in theory, when I'm not in that season, I absolutely love going and playing tennis. Hitting bright neon yellow balls just seems to help de-stress myself.
Oh, yes.
I'm competitive with myself. And so I like to play matches and things like that. I am so rusty right now. I would not put myself in a match, but I would go to like a group clinic and just meet some other people and play or do cardio tennis or something like that. So that's really fun. I'm in a Bible study. That is helpful. Every 2 weeks, the girls get together and we've been friends for over 15 years. So it's nice having that core group, kind of with those shared values. Going to church every Sunday also helps me. No matter how busy I am, I'm still doing church on Sundays. I might still work a little after church, but I'm at least take that time to do that. And then, fur therapy with dogs and puppies. I can never have enough of that. Sadly, my dog passed away. She's back there a few months ago, and she was 15 and a half. And so I had her a long time. She had bladder cancer, but my mom had like a few, let's see, it was like a few months before Lucy got diagnosed with bladder cancer. My mom got a golden doodle puppy, and I dog sit a lot. And so now Teddy's 2. So I like get a little bit of time with him where he feels like he's my dog. Like I'm babysitting him this weekend, and I'm very excited because he's a Velcro dog. So
Yeah.
all he wants to do is just lay on top of me.
I've got
And like
two
he
doodles. There's
side eyes my laptop. Yeah.
How dare you touch that computer? I'm here.
Oh, I'll get in the recliner at my mom's house and put the laptop on my lap. He jumps up and then he starts wedging. And then the next thing I know, he's like on my chest.
Yep.
And I'm like trying to type. I'm like, Teddy, this isn't really working right now. I'm trying to like build a sales page in High Level right now. But he's so cute. So I'm excited for puppy snuggles for the next few days. That is definitely going to help me recharge after a very long week. Maybe the dark circles under my eyes will start going away because I've been dragging this week. It's been a pretty busy week.
Yeah, where it's there's always those seasons, I feel like, too, like depending on the business that you work in, there's seasons where like this is your hustle season. You're probably not going to see your family much this time, and then okay, great, now it's maybe a little slower. You can get to do those things a little more. All right, so now if anybody that's watching along wanted to either support what you're building, be a part of it, join the community, what's the best way for them to get involved?
Sure. So they can visit the sales page that I absolutely hate at jointhemarketerslounge.com. And the new sales page will be up and running probably in a couple weeks. I've been working on that. So they can get an idea of what to expect, what's included. I put it at an affordable price point of $47 a month. So I'm very active and visible in that community, and I am intentionally building it in a way where my presence doesn't go away. That's one thing that's been frustrating for me, being in other massive communities that are way more expensive than what I offer. And the main expert or the leader of that community kind of disappears and outsources it to other people to manage and engage with.
It's like maybe they're doing like a once a month thing, and it's like, wait a minute, I came here for you.
Correct. I am there every call. I am leading every call. So I have some clients in the group who used to work with me one-on-one, and my one-on-one hourly rates range from like $197 to $349 depending on what we're doing.
Yeah.
And now they get me, sometimes they might be the only one on the call. Like last night we had a brainstorming call and only one of our members came. And so she got basically a one-on-one session with me. It doesn't always happen, but I intentionally design things in a way where I don't like the feeling of being, whether it's course, a workshop, a community, where you can't get your questions answered. And I'm not saying I have all the answers. That's why there's other people involved. But if I don't know something, I have a whole network of people outside of the community that I can then go ask and try to get some answers. So I'm very intentional in how I build that. I am active on LinkedIn, and I'm pretty easy to find on there. There's not a lot of Michele Dyes with one L, and you'll see my little pink circle picture. And then I just started a link or an Instagram for the Marketers Lounge called the Marketers Lounge USA is our handle.
Okay.
And if you like memes and memes of, reality TV, Bravo, Golden Girls, Clueless, Legally Blonde, all those type of things, you're going to enjoy my meme content that's forthcoming. I mean, some of it is already posted, and there's probably going to be Teddy pictures too. I have a video of Teddy, my mom's dog, that I took when he was a puppy. He liked to chase his tail a lot, so he's running in circles. He's now an ad for the Marketers Lounge. We turned it into a reel. And then I did some organic content with that video too on the Instagram. So you'll see, if you like dogs too, I'll probably have dog videos and stuff. The account's only a week old, so but we've got some stuff And I think I have like 12 followers, it's great.
Awesome. Well, we're going to go ahead and drop those links in the caption for anyone that wants to follow along. Thank you so much. And then just because I love to end on a positive note and have us looking forward to there's so many challenges in community building, but there's always something that keeps pulling us back to keep doing the work. And that's usually the hope that we have for where our community is headed. And so last question, what gives you the most hope right now as you think about where your community is headed?
Oh, I have so many exciting things planned for them, which I think is why it's like keeping me going. It's making me invest a lot of money into running ads and doing things that are going to pull more people in, because when more people come in, then that allows me to offer more things for them that I believe will be helpful, whether it's paying to bring in a guest speaker to talk about an area of expertise that none of us possess, or putting together some other resources for them, because all of it, costs money for me to build things. My time has a dollar amount to it. So some of the things I'm excited about are, really helping people do that, figuring out of how do they make that money that they need to make. I see people going in circles around that. I myself have gone in circles around that, of like figuring out like the right pieces of the puzzle. And so we're going to have like a group experience where, okay, we're going to spend the next, 4 weeks or so. We're going to map out, what does your plan look like to hit another 5K in your business, your first 5K in your freelance business. Yeah. We're going to be working on that together. And then I have something like super secret coming on later in a few months. But I'm really excited about it, because the whole thing will just be to help freelancers get new clients. And it's just this nice, cohesive environment that I'm very excited to launch. I've had a little bit of interest in it, but like I'm right now, for any of you who have an idea for a community, like I'm right there with you again as I work to build another community. I have to start finding the right people who can be founding members so I can test it out and then figure out like what's working, what's not working before I do a big push to publicly launch it. And so that's the phase of community building that I'm in right now, but that feeds into my other community where, members of the Marketers Lounge who are active and who are building those relationships, they're going to have access to get more clients. And so I'm really excited about building that for them. The couple of members I have involved in that process right now, just getting some insight and feedback from them, are very, very excited on how that can fill an empty spot in their business right now. So that is exciting to me. So those are my little summer projects. And anybody that comes into the Marketers Lounge soon, like they're really going to get, I'm very big on ROI and making sure people get a positive ROI with the money that they're investing into me to be able to have this community for them. I don't want people coming in and paying me every month and like not getting anything out of it. Like this is not a passive thing at all. Do I have people paying that aren't active? Yes, you're always going to have that in your communities.
You can't,
but they
do with their time.
They stay because they don't want to lose access to you. Because my prices go up, but members that come in at a price, they lock in, and then if they leave and want to come back, they got to pay whatever the market rate is. So they stay because they want to. And I just heard from one that I hadn't heard from in a while. She's like, I need to get back in, but she's been dealing with like a health issue. Yeah. And so, that's the other thing to remember. It's like, it's not a personal thing most of the time when people aren't involved, or as involved in your community. So the more you can, focus on growth or just serving who's there, which is what I'm doing and why I'm so excited, the better off you'll be long-term for your community.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to hang out with us for a while and share your insights. I personally feel like I've grown so much just from hearing from you and hearing all about the ways that you are actively building this community. I know everybody watching also is probably going to walk away with so much value. We'll go ahead and drop, like I said, all those links in the caption for anyone that's tuning in. And thank you so much, Michele. I'm so glad to be able to connect with you this way.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.